So how do you put your fabric in your embroidery hoop? So here I have some calico, just your normal cotton fabric, and I have an embroidery hoop. So your embroidery hoop has a screw at the top, and it has kind of an inner hoop and an outer hoop, so you can see they fit together. So you want to take them apart. You're going to lay the inner hoop, that's the full one. You're going to lay that down on the table. You're going to put your fabric on the top. You want to try and get it in the center if you can, or center it around whatever design you're doing. And then you're going to take the outer hoop. You'll have unloosened the screw a little bit, and you're just going to slide that over the top of the inner hoop and over the fabric. Okay. Now you want to make sure that the inner hoop and outer hoop are level all the way around. All right, you want them to be nice and level. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to tug on the fabric a bit to make sure that it's nice and tight in the middle. Okay, so you're constantly pulling that fabric tight and making sure that the two rings are even, and then you can start to tighten up that screw a bit. And again, pull tight on the fabric and tighten up the screw. And you want your fabric in the hoop to be tight like a drum. So you can see when I'm hitting that there, it's like a drum. It's not kind of dipping in the middle. I'll just show you what it looks like when your fabric is too loose. So when your fabric is too loose, it goes like that. Okay, that's not what you want. Or even if you don't pull on the fabric, if you just tighten up your hoop and you haven't pulled your fabric tight, you can see it kind of moves within the hoop. That's not what you want. Okay, you want it to be nice and tight. So that's looking much better now. Once you feel like you have it tight enough, an optional extra step is to take your screwdriver. So this hoop takes a flathead screwdriver, and you just want to tighten up that screw as much as you can. And once you start to hear it kind of squeak like that, that's enough. So tightening up that screw will just tighten that outer hoop and will keep your fabric tighter for longer. Okay, as you're stitching through the fabric with all that pulling on the fabric, it will start to loosen a little bit. So you may need to just pull on it a bit again after like a day of stitching on it or whatever. But keeping that tight with a screwdriver will help it last a little bit longer. Okay, so that's how you get it in your normal wooden hoop. I'm also going to show you how to put it in a flexi hoop. Okay, so a flexi hoop is another type of embroidery hoop. I have an oval one here, and instead of the screw at the top, it has this piece that screws in. Okay, so you unscrew that, take it out. You can just set it to the side. Then again, you have an inner hoop and an outer hoop, but the outer hoop is basically like a flexible plastic, okay? The inner hoop is a much more rigid plastic. The outer hoop is much more flexible. So you just want to roll it out, and you can see it's kind of flexible there, but it should pretty much keep its shape once you take it off the inner hoop. So you can see I have the inner hoop there. It's a much more rigid plastic. So again, you want to lay the inner hoop down and you want to lay the fabric on top. Then just zoom out a little, make sure you can see. You want to lay that in. So actually, you can see on the inner hoop, it sort of has a ridge that the outer hoop sits into. Okay, so that's what you're doing once you have the fabric down. You're just laying that hoop into the ridge of the inner hoop. Okay, and you may need to tug on it a bit just to get it in there. Make sure you have no folds in the fabric, and again pull it to make sure it's nice and tight. Now these flexi hoops, you can't tighten the fabric as well as you can with the wooden hoops, because there's no way to kind of tighten up the outer frame. With the other hoop you could screw the pieces together and it tightens up the whole outer hoop, where this one you can't really do that. So you can't get the fabric quite as tight, but I do think that flexi hoops are a really nice way to display work, and they look slightly nicer. They have this kind of wood look to them, that they look slightly nicer than the other normal hoops. The other hoops still look good, but I think these give more of a kind of photo frame look to them. So once you have your fabric in there, once you feel like it's nice and tight, you can get it quite tight, but it kind of doesn't keep tight. Like I was saying with the other one, when you're stitching with it, the fabric can become looser and looser. That kind of happens a little bit quicker when you're using a flexi hoop. But when you have your fabric in there, you want to screw the top back in. And then once you have your piece of embroidery done, that's a really nice way to hang your embroidery hoop as well. So flexi hoops are absolutely fine to stitch in. There's absolutely no problem with it. Personally, I just prefer stitching in a wooden hoop. But flexi hoops are really nice for displaying. So you can decide yourself which one you prefer. They're both available on my website. And yeah, they're both very nice things to use. But I guess it just depends what way you want to use them. So try them out. Try them both out if you can. But yeah, they're quite good. So I'll do another video on kind of which hoops, what the difference is between these and kind of other frames and things as well. So you can have a look at that too if you have any more questions about them. If you do have any questions, just let me know and I'll try my best to answer them.